Welcome to Lesson 23. Make sure that you label your page Lesson 23 and get ready to copy letter A. This is the last really unique problem we are going to run into with this equation solving system. So what I've got here, if you copy, we've got 4x, and this is the first time that we are being asked to take away this whole thing that we do not have. We are being asked to take away 2 copies of star plus 1. But if we go through and start lining up our translation, we'll see that all we have are 4 x's. So just like any other time when we're supposed to take something away, the first thing we do is look to see, do we have what we're supposed to take away? And we don't. Right now, we're supposed to take away 2 copies of star plus 1. So we're going to respond like we usually do when we don't have what we need, and we are going to bring in a 0 pair. We're going to need a lot of space, though, for what we bring in, because we are going to bring in 2 copies of star plus 1, and I'm leaving some space here on purpose. And then at the same time, we are also going to have to bring in the opposite, right, which is actually 2 things. The opposite of star is x, and the opposite of 1 is -1. So here are our 0 pairs. And now we can go through and we can cross off what they asked us to cross off, which is 2 copies of star plus 1. So as I go through, I will cross off star plus 1, there's copy number 1, star plus 1, there's copy number 1. Now move to the other side and just kind of get that taken care of. 2x plus 10. And I am going to, before I rewrite, I notice right away that I've got 2 stars here, or excuse me, 2 x's on the right, and easily 2 x's on the left to take away. Now I think I've got to do a rewrite because I've got a lot of lines going on and I'm getting a little confused. So I have 4 x's left over here, it appears, and a total of -2. And on the right, a total of 10. So I am going to bring in a +2 on each side. And I did that so I could get rid of this 0 pair. And now I see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles equal 12, which means that 1 triangle equals 3 and 1 star equals -3. All right, so letter B looks like this. You may want to pause the video to copy. And here is my scale. I notice again that we are supposed to be taking away this whole section right here. And I don't know if we have what it is they want us to take away. We're going to have to work left to right and see. So as I start, it looks like I have 1 star, and now I'm supposed to take away 2 copies of 2x plus 3. I don't have any x's over here, so I am going to begin to record. I'm going to record a little differently than I did in letter A. The first thing I'm going to do is record my 2 copies of 2x plus 3. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to record my opposites. So if I need a zero pair of 2x plus 3, or 2 copies of that, that means I would need 2 star and a negative 3, and 2 star and a negative 3. So by bringing in that zero pair, now I can do what I'm supposed to do in my setup. I'm supposed to take away 2 copies of 2x plus 3. And there we go, take them away. And I'm left with all of these stars and negatives, which is what was meant to happen. Now I go over to my other side and I'm going to do 3 stars and a negative 8. So right off the bat again, I am going to start taking stars. I've got 3 here, and I can take 3 on the other side. And now I'm going to start looking at numbers. I better rewrite. I've got 2 stars and negative 6, and nothing for stars or x's, but I've got a negative 8. Now I see that I have negatives on both sides, which means I have at least a negative, I have negative 6 over here, and I have at least a negative 6 on the right. So that means I can take negative 6 off each side, leaving 2 stars equal to 2 negatives that are left over after I take away 6 negatives, which means 1 star is equal to negative 1, and when x is equal to 1. All right, here's letter C. You may want to pause the video and copy. All right, so as I look at my scale, I'm actually going to move over to the right side first, just because this is so easy to translate. I'm going to go ahead and make my 2 x's, get that out of the way. And on the left side, I've got quite a bit going on here before I approach my takeaway portion here. I've got 3 x's and a star, and then I am supposed to take away 2 copies of x plus 4. So I do have some x's, but I'm nervous that if I start sort of working with those x's, I'm going to get confused about what I need to do. So I am going to bring in a sort of large zero pair. I'll make a bracket there. And I am going to bring in 2 copies of x plus 4. But I'm also then going to bring in the opposite. I'm going to bring in 2 copies of star plus negative 4. And now if I go back to my original setup, they wanted me to take away 2 copies of x plus 4, so I will do that. And what is left over is meant to be here. That's why they had me do that. I am going to go to my x's again, and I realize if I start crossing off 2 x's over here and 2 x's over here, I'm going to have nothing over here, and I'll still have some stuff. So I think I'm going to change course, and I'm going to do some 0 pairs over here. That's a 0 pair. That's a 0 pair. Oh, and I've got 1 more 0 pair. So actually, when I rewrite, I've got negative 8 on the left and 2 x's on the right, which makes 1x equal to -4 and a star equal to +4. And here is letter D. You may want to pause the video and copy the problem. All right, so with letter D, it looks like we are asked to take away this portion here. If I go back and start translating, whoops, I've got 1x, and now I'm supposed to take away 3 stars plus 2. The parentheses are kind of an organizer to show me that I have to take away all of this, which means that I'm going to have to bring in a 0 pair for everything there in the parentheses. So I'm going to bring in 3 star plus 2, but then I will also have to bring in its opposite, 3x and a -2. Now I can go back and I can do what they've asked me to do as part of my setup. I can take away 3 star plus 2. Oops. There we go. And what's left over is meant to be there. Now I'm going to go to my right side and record my 2 stars. And I actually run into the same problem where I'm asked to take away 14, but I don't have anything. So I am going to use the same strategy we have been using. I'm going to bring in a 0 pair of +14 and -14. And I'm going to take away the regular 14 as I was asked to do. And now I'm going to do a rewrite because I have a lot of lines. Let's see, 4x and a -2, 2 star and a -14. I think I'm going to take some advice. I don't know whether I want to cancel my x's or my stars. So I'm going to go back to that advice that says start with numbers. I'm going to take 2 negatives off the left and 2 negatives off the right, which leaves me with 12 negatives, which then means that what I'd like to do is bring in some x's over here and then some over here as well. I can cancel those out, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x is equal to -12, which makes 1x equal to -2 and a star equal to +2. Go ahead and try your homework by yourself with this last strategy.